All right, this one is about Camacho, man. Camacho is a big Cuban named Camacho. All right. Now, this is how he runs the prison, so you young can understand what you're gonna be up against when you run into the penitentiary in Lewisburg, or you keep sliding. All right. All right, this was about Camacho, man. This is Camacho. He's a big brolic dude. I mean, he's about 2 times the size of me, and a little shorter than me. He's about maybe 5'9", but he got no front teeth. You know what I mean? He's real Menson looking, right? And he had short hair that was, that looked like it was ashy. Could you imagine a dude with ashy hair? Now, Camacho, I get to Lewisburg. When I get to Lewisburg, everybody's there. They giving me the care packages, care packages when, they come and they had like brown shopping bags and they giving out, like soups, cookies, deodorant, soap. That's called a care package. Now, everybody's giving me the care package. This big brolic dude, and he's sitting there and he's looking and he's seeing the greeting that I'm getting. And as I'm getting this greeting, he's sitting there and he's looking real, real happy, and he's smiling. But you could tell he's nothing nice, So after everybody greet me, give me the care package, he rolled up on me and he shake my hand. He said, "Man, I'm Cuban. I'm Camacho, and I respect you because you Jamaican, and I see the way everyone respect you, and I like men, I like men that's on man time, So when he does that now, he shakes my hand. And me and him was cool ever since. He said, if anything happened, I got you, So Camacho, he was just something that you couldn't even imagine, So after he let me know his name is Camacho and he rolling with me because I'm Jamaican and he holding me down and all that, one day he's up in the day room up in D Block. So he's up in D Block and he's playing poker. Camacho, let me give you a little description of what Camacho's bidding was about. Camacho liked to hustle. If you got weed, he's selling it. If you got dope, he's selling it. If you gamble, he's with it. If somebody owe you, he's with collecting for a fee. You know what I mean? He hustles off the land. He came in the system from he was like 16 years old. He was one of those that was sent over as the mariachis, when Castro sent over the boat with all these Cubans, and they put most of them in solitary confinement, and they held them in there indefinitely. Could you imagine being shipped from your prison in Cuba or whatever country you're from to another prison? They put you in a prison, and then they lock you down for 23 hours a day, indefinite, and they tell you that you got to stay here until we figure out what we're going to do with you. But what allowed Camacho to slip through the cracks was that Camacho was only 16. But when he was in Cuba, he committed a number of murders and, he just went wild. But being that he was young, they didn't have no paperwork on him. So when he came into the American system, they slid him into the federal system. And he's been running around in there ever since. Now he's about 40-something years old. So he's already been in there 25 years. So he know how the inner runnings of the joint go. So he was there from before they was letting crack era dudes into the prison. And, when it was white-collar crime, when it was white guys in there. When Lewisburg was sweet, when all the Italians was eating pasta every day and the Italians ran the prison system. He was there from back then. You know what I mean? So while he's there, I'm doing a video. I'll call you back. So while he was there, um, in the joint, he had everything in order. Then they started bringing the blacks in from the crack era. So as they brought the blacks in from the crack era, he kind of gravitated towards us because we looked like him. He was blacker than me, And like I said, he had no front teeth whatsoever. Now, we up in D Block. So we up in D Block, and they had a big poker game up there. D Block was considered as dog block. That was the wildest block in Lewisburg, and that's where they put him because he was a wild Cuban. So I'm up in D Block chilling with him, and he playing poker, and it was somebody that owed him, that he owed some money to. Dude came up to Camacho and saw he was winning, you know, a bunch of cigarettes, because this was before stamps. Remember I showed you that, this is the currency in jail. You know what I mean? Stamps was the currency. Not at this time. At this time, stamps wasn't worth nothing. It was cigarettes, cartons of cigarettes. So Camacho's sitting at the table, and he had got about 40, 50 cartons of cigarettes sitting around him, and he's crushing the poker game. But before that, he owed the dude some money. So as he's winning, every hand he wins, the dude leans over and he say, Camacho, could I get my cigarettes you owe me? And Camacho's like, come on, get out of here, because he's focusing on the game. And the dude kept nagging him about it. So then Camacho tell him, man, move your money, tell him in Spanish, get the hell out of here. He ran him. So when he ran him, dude gets mad, and dude goes back and he go get a lock and a sock. He comes back while we all standing there, and, he bust Camacho in the back of the head with a lock and a sock. Boom. So when he hit him in the head, right, he hit him like not even in the back, like in the front of the head. And when he hit him in the head, blood is running everywhere. It's all down his face, So Camacho, you would think he would have jumped up, said, ouch, ooh, ah, whatever. But Camacho just sat there and kept looking at his hand. And then, he looked at the dude, he nodded, he looked at me and, the other homies that was around him, and he told us to hold up. You know what I mean? And he just got hit in the head with a lock. And he's telling us, yo, hold up, So when he does that now, he goes back to playing his hand. So after he wins his hand, he takes all 50 cartons, he puts them in two pillowcase and whatever wooden fit he gave to us to hold. And he said, yo, hold that for me. He goes in the room and, walks away with blood everywhere, and he's cleaning the blood up off his face. So as he's cleaning the blood up off his face, he comes back out and he gets his knife, and he stabbed this dude about 15 times, just so you understand how serious this is in there. He stabbed this dude 15 times and damn near killed the dude. Now, they wound up, airlifting the dude out of there, After he stabbed him, he spit on the dude, right? Camacho goes to the hole for 30 days. Now, he's in the hole for 30 days, and he sends a kite out telling everybody he all right, stand down, he got this, This is how Camacho roll. Because, see, in prison, when you get into something, your crew or your car is not going to move out unless you move out. So you got to move at your car's pace for whoever it is they get in the situation. So you youngins pay attention. All right, that's why the Cash App is on the screen. I don't care if it's $1, $5, whatever. If not, just give me an emoji, but make sure you subscribe. The subscribe button is on there to remind you subscribe. So Camacho sits there and he sends a kite out, tell everybody he got it. So he comes out after 30 days. When he come out in 30 days, he rolls up, and the dude is there. He all patched up, and because they let him back on the pound. Nobody did nothing to him because Camacho said let him live, that, he was going to deal with it when he get out. So Camacho comes out, and Camacho tells the dude just like this, so you understand what type of man he is. Camacho said, you violated. I was playing poker. I was winning. You don't bother a man when he's playing poker. That's the same thing as if a dog is eating. You don't bother his plate. When the dog is eating, if you go moving his plate, even if he's your dog, you feed him, you love him, whatever, he's gonna snap at you. So this is what Camacho is explaining to the dude, that I was eating at the table. I was getting money at the table, and you came over there violating. Now, This is what we're gonna do for your violation. The dude said, yo, but you already stabbed me 15 times. I lost a lung, boo, boo, boo. You know, I could barely breathe. And they tell me I was a hairline away from getting a colostrophe bag. You know, that's a bag to defecate in, right? So the dude is letting Camacho know you already killed me. You know, what more do you want? Camacho said, okay, what I want is from now on, every week, you're going to send me $500 on my books as long as you on this compound. If you don't agree to send me this 500 on the books, I'm going to stab you another 15 times, you know? So dude would say, man, Camacho, come on, man. You owed me. All I did was ask about my money. He said, yeah, but you asked about it the wrong time for one. And two, you went and put a lock to my head. And Camacho showed him his head. He said, you see this? For this, you got to pay me $500 a week. You know, so the dude said, man, Camacho, I don't want no problems. So Camacho said, then you just pay me and it won't be any problems. So the dude winds up sending Camacho the money. You know, so every week Camacho gets $500 on his books. So now Camacho liked the feeling of that. So it was some DC dudes and a New York dude that was there. You know, I don't want to say the New York dude. You know, I could get in contact with him. You know, if you want to hear more about him, but this official New York dude that was there. So this was, you know, and he was Jamaican also, because Camacho rolled with the Jamaicans, you know, even though he's Cuban, and you'll think he'll run with the Spanish, but he was jet black like us, so he fit in with us, and he liked the way we moved and our gangsters, so he dealt with the Jamaicans. So it was a Jamaican dude that was there from the Bronx, you know what I mean? I don't want to, I'm tempted to say his name, but I'm not going to say his name. But anyway, because this dude was so official, I want to give him his props. I'm going to contact him and let him know if I can tell his story. Because I check with the men before I tell their story, because that's called being on man time. So the Jamaican dude tells Camacho, yo, we can use this to our advantage. The dude willingly is sending you 500, you know? So forget them Colombians. Forget the Mexicans. Forget all the Latin races and the Italians and everything that's not black. Let's put our murder game down on these dudes. Or, you know, so you understand. Let's put the press game down. So the Jamaican gets with Camacho and a DC dude get involved. And I want to say his name too, you know what I mean? But I heard he kind of turned sour later on in the bid. So I'm definitely not going to say his name. But it was Camacho, the Jamaican homie from the Bronx, and a DC homie that was official gangster. You know, except for the suspicion of him not being right. You know, I never really found out, so I could make a couple of phone calls and find out, but no one voluntarily told me, so I just left it alone as far as the inquiry, because I'm not in contact with him anyway. But Camacho sits there, and the three of them come together and they decide to put down, you know, what they called the black hand. So they put down the black hand of death in the penitentiary, where now they went at everything that wasn't black, you know, because this is how we move. You see, like how now, you know, out in Chicago, no disrespect to them, you got the black on black, you know, crime, murders, and things like that going on. You know, we wasn't on that in the prison. And then we had unity for our own. So Camacho sat there with the DC dude and New York dude, and they decided to put together a black hand coalition where they went at everything that wasn't black that was getting money and told them that they had to start sending them a fee in order to stay on the compound. So they went and, you know, they pushed up on a Colombian dude that got a whole bunch of money, but he wasn't connected to no gang or nothing, because the gangs wasn't that big in the prison. They had, of course, they had gang. You know, the Texas syndicate was there at the time. You know, so he tells the Colombian, I need you to send 5,000, you know. Well, he didn't tell him. Let me keep it 100. The Jamaican went up and he made his first move on a Colombian that was there, that was getting money, that always walked around with 3 henchmen. He told the Colombian dude, he said, you got to send me $5,000 to this address by 12 o'clock tomorrow, or, you know, I'm going to run you up top. You know, when you tell somebody you're going to run them up top, you know, that's not, you know, you're going to say, boom, go up top. That's saying that I'm going to put the knife in you. You know what I mean? It's going to be a knife fight. So the next day, the Colombian sends the Jamaican the 5 grand, you know. Now the Jamaican lets, the DC dude know and Camacho know who was the leaders of this black hand that yo, I got the 5 grand from them. Y'all go ahead and make your move. So Camacho pushes up on the dude. And Camacho's not greedy. So Camacho tells the dude, yo, here goes my address. Had them Western Union, my people, 3 grand, you know. The dude sends the 3 grand. So then now the DC dude go and DC was just considered as wild in the prison. No disrespect to them, they was just wild. So the DC dude goes and he tells the Colombian, the same one, I need $2,000 sent to me. So that would be a total of 10,000. So the Colombian, he figured that nobody likes DC, so which he figured wrong, but he figured nobody likes DC, so he tell me, all right, I got you. But he goes and he tells his henchmen, and his henchmen come back and tell the DC dude, nah, I'm not sending you nothing. My man said he already sent out 8 grand. He ain't sending nothing else. And his money was like that, where the 8 grand was like $8 to him, because it's one of the Colombians that, was down with Escobar that was, there for importing in the United States over a ton. You hear what I said? Over a ton of cocaine. So 8 grand, 10 grand wasn't nothing, but he just didn't want to give the DC dude the money when he told his homies. His homies is like, you gave them 8 grand, you could have gave us the 8 grand. So he sends his homies 10 grand to hold him down. They split that up amongst each other, and now they decided to go up against the Black Hand. When they decided to go against the penitentiary Black Hand in Lewisburg, if you was in Lewisburg, you know what I'm talking about. Let's give a gunshot. Let's give a gunshot. Definitely got to get 3 gunshot salutes. So now, when he does that, they go to the yard, and he was supposed to send it 2 grand to the DC dude, and he didn't send it. So as soon as they go out there now, it was Camacho, it was the DC dude, the New York dude, and they had about 5 other dudes with them that jumped in the Black Hand and said, yeah, we're going to eat off of these foreigners. That's what they called them, foreigners. So now they pushes up on him, and they go in the yard, and he asks him, yo, what's up with the money? And as soon as he says that, one of the Colombians pulls out a knife and goes to stab, the DC dude. The DC dude wasn't having it. He pulls his knife out and he stabs him in the shoulder. So when he hits him in the shoulder, another dude came and he stabbed the DC dude, hit him in the shoulder. So now they out there rumbling. They shoot the guns, you know what I mean? And when they shoot the guns, they didn't really care what happens after that. They just wanted to break up the fight. So they broke up the fight. Everybody goes in. So when they go in, you got Camacho over there. Camacho, picture this. Camacho is stitching the DC dude up with a needle in the cell, for where he got cut at. He take the alcohol, throw the alcohol on him, and, he cleans out the wound and he stitches him up. So now they're like, oh, no, we're not going for that. So they had dinner. So right after dinner, we go to the yard. As soon as we go to the yard, a all-out brawl breaks out in the yard with the Black Hand and these dudes. So I'm sitting back and I'm watching, because I'm not a part of the Black Hand, because I'm not a part of taking nothing from nobody, like that. So, especially the penitentiary, I got my appeal getting ready to come up. I didn't even get an appeal date yet. So I'm not really trying to get into nothing. So Camacho tells everybody, stand down. This is Black Hand business, because they started their own, car in the prison. So they go out there and they put their work in. They get the rumbling, boom, 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 boom. They stabbing each other. Police shoots the gun. They go out there to riot gear. Now they grabs them. They got no choice. They grab them. They separate them. And they move them around to other jails. So when they moved them around to other jails, I winds up getting into it with the police, and I winds up going to ADX. And after I get out of ADX, I went to Allenwood, and now I get to Allenwood. I'm doing my thing, and, I'm hustling again. I got my man, that pushed up on me, said, yo, get the dope to my mom's on the street. My mom's bring it in, and we break it down 50-50. So you get 10 grams, I get 5 grams, and you know what I mean? You get your money, I get my money. I pay my moms for bringing it in out of my 5 grams. You pay your people that brought the 5 grams to your people, and da-da-da-da. And this is the way it goes in the prison, so you understand. You understand? So if you youngins want to be a part of this, you go ahead. But, at the time, we just like violence, blood, and everything else that go with it. So we up in Allenwood, and then I winds up, bringing too much dope into Allenwood, so they shipped me out to California because they couldn't catch me. So they figured they sent me from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. That I'm stuck and I'm gonna be handicapped. So they send me out west. So before I go out west, I hook up with a dude from San Bernardino. um, I tell them, look, I'm getting ready to go out west. I'm gonna need a mule when I get out there. You know, you got a bunch of girls from Cali be writing you. I got a bunch of girls from New York and the East Coast be writing me. I'm gonna introduce you to a girl out here, and she's gonna come visit you. You put your Mac down. She's gonna, do whatever you tell her to do. But then when I get out west, I need you to give me a girl that's gonna do the same thing. But I'm gonna break bread first and have her bring the pack to you. So I have one of my girls bring up a girl, introduce my dude from San Bernardino. You know what I mean? I'm even gonna tell you his name. He official. He caught his case out in Colorado. He had a co-defendant named D. His name was Green Eyes. So Green Eyes said, bet. So the girl comes up and she looks out for him. Give a round of applause to the West Coast. Give a round of applause to the West Coast. All right. Give a round of applause to the West Coast. Let's take this one step at a time. So now we sitting there in Lewisburg. The girl brings to the pack, do what he got to do. So now he eating. He put me on a nice little, red bone. I call her on the phone, and I call her like about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, which is like 4 o'clock on the West Coast. When I call her, she's just getting in, and she got a girl with her. You know what I mean? I'm talking about, this is like 1999, 2000. So she got a girl with her just coming in from the club, and she talked about she brought home her girlfriend with her, and they get ready, do what they got to do sexually. So I'm like, well, just let me listen. So of course she said, all right. She put the phone on speaker. And her girlfriend going at it, they tearing each other up. I'm listening to the sounds and all that. They call me perverted or, deviant, mentality or whatever you want. But I'm on the phone and I got my blanket over my shoulder. Because they know when you take the blanket to the shoulder, to the phone, that, you getting your man, as we call it, you know what I mean? AKA masturbating. So I got my blanket over my shoulder and I'm listening to these girls going at it. I'm hearing all the munching sounds, and I'm, call me perverted, call me what you want. I just keep it 100. So she's, I'm gunning. That's what we call it when we masturbate. I'm gunning. I'm gunning, under this blanket, and I'm listening to this early in the morning while everybody's asleep or, waiting to go to breakfast or getting ready to go to breakfast. So I can't wait to get out west to meet her. She was a nice Carmel chick, too, So she started writing me and sending me pictures, telling me, yeah, when you come out here, I got you. I'm going to bring my girlfriend, whatever you need. We got you, da-da-da-da. And my girl is doing what she got to do for my man Green Eyes, making sure he's good. And he got her lined up for when I get out there. So now I get out west, and sure enough, I get out west, and the girl comes through. She do what she's supposed to do, and everything is good. And I'm eating out there, and I got the Serenos that's hitting me off, with the dope when they bring it in, and I got my own thing coming in, and she bringing me the killer weed because I like to smoke the weed, but I just like to sell the dope to get the money. So I'm doing what I got to do in the penitentiary, right? So while I'm up in there now, here comes Camacho. Camacho gets transferred to my jail, and he winds up in my unit. So we in the unit, and I gave Camacho, 5 grams as he got off the bus. So as soon as he gets off the bus, he runs into one of the Colombians that was there in Lewisburg when the whole thing happened, because you can't duck nothing. When something happened in one jail, it's going to follow you to another. So Camacho runs into the dude, so Camacho pushes up on the dude and tells the dude straight up. He said, yo, you never sent my man the $2,000. Well, your man never sent my man the $2,000. So now you picked up the debt. So either you send the $2,000 or I'm going to put my joint in you and run you up top. You know what I mean? Meaning his knife in him, as Banky Pound says, the Bethlehem. Big shout out to Banky Pound. Check out Banky Pound's podcast. That's how we look out for each other. So now, Camacho threatens to put the Bethlehem in him, So, dude turns around now and he sends Camacho the $2,000, but he drops a slip and tells them that he's being extorted by this new Cuban came in named Camacho, right? So Before Camacho could find out what happened, the police run down in the cell on Camacho at 3 in the morning. So they run in the cell 3 in the morning while everybody's sleep. Like how the feds do a raid early in the morning. That's how they rolled up on Camacho. So they ran in there about 10 police deep, and Camacho jumped something. Like I said, he a big brawling dude, so he damn near took up the whole cell, because the cells in Lewisburg is small. So by the time they opened, only 1 or 2 police could come into town, and as they came in, Camacho was knocking them out. Boom, 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 boom. He's knocking them out. You know what I mean? So they come in and they hold him down, and Camacho's trying to get to the toilet. And, like he's trying to flush the dope. So he's wrestling with them. They all on his back, and he's over the toilet. But, he's flushing the toilet while they over him, and he's fighting and he's carrying on. But, the whole time he's eating the balloons, But they think he's flushing the balloons. So they fighting him after he done, eating the balloons. He ain't got rid of the contraband and done flushing the toilet. Because they changed the rules behind this, too. I'm going to let you know how that go. So they thinking that Camacho flushed, the dope. So be on the safe side. They subdued him. They took him and they put him in a hole, what they call the dry tank. Camacho goes in the dry tank. Now, Camacho's in the dry tank, and I'm holding his property down and his things down till he get out. And, after 3 days, he beat the dry tank, but they kept him back there, for assault on the police and this and that, for another, month. So a month later, Camacho comes out. So when Camacho comes out, Camacho says, come to me, and he gives me a big hug. But when he gives me a hug, he smelled like pure doo-doo. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, son. And as he's talking, I'm smelling the doo-doo on his breath. I said, what happened? He said, man, I was back there 30 days, man. He said, I wrestled him, man. He said, but, there's no way in hell I'm flushing that joint. You know what I mean? Because I'm not going to come back and tell you nothing happened to yours. So he pulls out the 5 balloons, and he shows me the 5 balloons, and he still had the balloons. And it still had feces on it, and he tried to hand me these balloons with feces. I said, man, I want that crap. Just get my money to my people on the street. So he started laughing. He said, man, you old crazy Jamaican, man. He said, but I got you. Right? So now, after he does that, he start making it, moving around the compound. He says, yo, Unique, dude is still here, on the compound. I got to get him, So I'm like, what you mean you got to get him? I know what he mean, but, I'm trying to play stupid with him. I said, what you mean you got to get him? He said, nah, he got to pay for that. He dropped me the slip so he can't live on the compound. Because I'm letting you know now, no rat bastards is living on no compound amongst us. You're not dropping a slip. You're not doing none of that. And you're not living with us if you're telling the police anything. So Camacho said, I got him. So Camacho rode down there on the dude. And Camacho tells the dude, he said, look, you dropped the slip. I know you dropped the slip because the police told me you dropped the slip. So therefore now I want 10 grand. You know what I mean? And I don't want it tomorrow. I want it today. You got 1 hour to get 10 grand on my books. You know what I mean? So, they goes, and his people come back and tell him that, nah, they can't send them books, give me somewhere to send it. So Camacho comes to me and say, yo, I need somewhere to have 10 grand sent. You know what I mean? So I'm like, damn, I can't send to my girl because if you kill this dude, it's going to fall back on me. But I got a little shorty that, I'm going to put you on to, and she'll hold the 10 grand for you and do what you want to do. But I don't need no, communication or links through the phone with, me telling her what to do with your money. So I gives him a girl, and he sends the money to her. And right after he gets the money, he go down there and he stabbed this dude about 30 times. Damn near killed him. They airlifted him out of there. So now, Lumpark was so official, they didn't care nothing about the stabbing and none of that. As long as you didn't stab the police, that's how the penitentiaries was back then. Just before they had Big Sandy, before Lee County, before Coleman, before McCurry, before Atwater, before Victorville. You know what I mean? This before all of that. So they didn't have a lot of places to send us. So they didn't care what we did. They just told us leave the police alone. So Camacho comes back and he said, yo, the girl got the joint, the 10 grand. What should I give her? You know what I mean? I said, just give her 2 grand. You know what I mean? That's like 20%, to hold it. She gonna do whatever you got to do with it. So now Camacho dealing with it. Camacho flies out to come see him in California. And when she flies out to come see him in California, we orchestrated everything, and she winds up bringing a pack, and now, he got his own mule that he flying in, and he from Cuba, ain't been on this soil since, you know what I mean? He first came here on the Marachi boat, so he never even seen American soil, and he got a girl flying from the East Coast all the way out to the West. But that's how it is in the penitentiary, man. But that's just the introduction to Camacho. I'm going to dig out a picture of him so you can see what this man looked like. He wound up doing about 30, 40 years, in the federal prison, and came here when he was 16 years old and spent his whole life in prison. And this man was sending money back to Cuba, because that's what his thing was. All the money he got, he sent back to his mother and his sister in Cuba, because he didn't even have a woman in Cuba. No kids, no nothing, because he came in as a baby. So he sent all his money out. But that's how that played out with Camacho. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Share this video. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. Subscribe to my Instagram at Unique Mecca Audio. I'm going to start posting again, and make sure the Cash App is on the screen. I don't care if it's $1. There's no number 1 in my last name. It's Hall, not H-A, number 1 L, H-A-L, number 1, none of that. All right, so let's get this thing straight, man. All right, so I'm about to tap out because I got to go. All right, so everything is good. Let's get what we got to do, man. All right.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Fresh out the can of 26, yeah. He back on the strip, getting back in the mix. Yeah. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Real. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Yeah. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca Audio. Get it live like 2 G's in the 90s. Drop top beamer so shiny. I let shorty go, she was wine. Treat her like my past, she behind me. Spend a couple bands on the Dapper Dan. You be back again, getting green like a Packers fan. No cap, it's a roaring uptown. They be whoring uptown, Dominican bust downs. Now we on the positive, we got a lot to give. Now he trying to stop the kids from being inoperative. So take heed, homie, lend it air. He started in uptown, he gon' finish dead. But now it ain't about selling drugs, buying cars. It's about buying property to make the community ours. So we can give back to the youth them, cause they the truth them. And bless up to all the rude